welcome to another episode of Cooking Break with Dani.
It's been a minute. It's been a hot minute.
A hot minute, like hot stove, get it? Cooking. Okay, anyway. Today we're here with a recipe. It's gonna be sort of like a multi-part video because in this recipe, you're going to learn very important key steps on preparing chicken breast that will help you in a future video that we're gonna post next week. And another video that you're gonna see coming up is a how to cook pasta video. Now, I know what you're thinking. Girl, I know how to cook pasta. I've been cooking pasta since I was in college and survived on $1 box of noodles. However, there are a lot of really common mistakes made when cooking pasta, and it would be fun to talk about. So there are going to be 2 additional videos to follow up this one that might help you when you're trying to make this dish. So let's talk about piccata, chicken piccata in particular. Piccata is a term referring to a sauce that has butter, capers, and sometimes white wine or chicken broth. It's a very, very light, very simple buttery sauce that is used to coat noodles, but you can also add a protein to make it a full dish. So today we're going to do chicken piccata, and we're going to serve it with fine angel hair pasta. I'm also going to teach you guys just super easy steps on how to make chicken breast in under, what, 6-7 minutes. This is one of my go-to recipes along with chicken marsala, which is gonna be the follow-up recipe. And I serve both with noodles or when I have a little bit more time with some sort of potato. And one key thing that we did not learn in the previous is the term mise en place. We've talked about it on my other channel, but mise en place means everything in its place, having everything ready to go and waiting for you instead of you waiting for the items. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna prep everything in advance, and then it's all gonna come together at the very end. So you wanna make sure that you have access to all your tools, all your ingredients, everything is washed, prepped, and ready to go, so that when you start to chop, dice, peel, butterfly, or do anything that you need to do, grab your pans, everything is out and waiting for you. Everything will come together so quickly that it makes perfect sense to have everything already set up. So if you guys want to learn how to do or cook chicken piccata, all you have to do is keep on watching. Okay, so to give you guys a little behind the scenes on how I prep or do my mise en place, I'm going to show you guys exactly where I keep my tools, my pots and pans, and how I set everything up. So I am going to set up my skillet because I know for a fact I'm going to use that. I'm going to set it up to medium heat so that when I'm ready to do high heat, all I need to do is turn the dial. After that, we have a pot of water that we already filled, which is what we're going to use to do our pasta. We're going to set that on the flame as well so that it gets started on boiling. We will also turn that on to high heat because boiling takes a really long time. And then over here we have our cutting board ready. It is a non-slip cutting board because we did our little hack, our little napkin hack. It's a wet napkin on a wooden cutting board. Ideally, I would recommend using a plastic cutting board. Then we are going to take chicken broth. Got that. We're going to have our capers. Got those. We got our chicken breasts here ready to go. And then we are going to need angel hair, and some butter. Another ingredient we almost forgot was all-purpose flour and our salt and pepper. The last ingredient you need to include is your dog. They need to help you in the kitchen. This is my sous chef, Mern. You ready, Mern? You ready to do this? Go put on your apron. All right, since we want to have everything ready to go and waiting for us, the first thing we're going to do is have a drop zone for our chicken breast. Before we even cut our chicken breast, we want the drop zone to be ready. So for that, we are going to take some flour. Remember that all the ingredient amounts will be listed in the description box below of this video in case you can't follow along. I am so used to making this dish that I don't really need to measure. So I'm going to take some all-purpose flour, and I'm going to season it with salt and pepper. A very important step that you always need to remember when cooking is to season along the way. So if there's many levels to your recipe, like dredging or frying, you want to always make sure that you season along the way, which means I'm going to salt and pepper from dredging, I'm going to salt and pepper again in the pan, and then I'm going to salt and pepper again when I compose the sauce. When I'm doing this for my family or loved ones, I just use my fingers to combine, but right now I'm trying to pretend to be a professional, so I'm using a fork to mix everything together. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I pulled out one of my plastic cutting boards for purposes of butterflying my chicken breast. Okay, I'm going to compile a facts or FAQ video for you guys on all the interesting things that we do here in the kitchen. One of which is why I don't wash my meat. I get that comment in every single cooking related video. Why I don't wash my meat. And there are several reasons why, but we're gonna talk about it all in that video. For right now, I'm gonna show you my breasts and I'm not gonna wash them. We talked about knife safety last week, so this is gonna be a really cool recap. We are going to take our 4-pack of chicken breasts. We're gonna use 2 for today, and we're gonna use 2 for the other recipe that we do. There's our sous chef on cue. She's like, meat? Is that meat? Are we doing meat? I like chicken breast because it is like vanilla ice cream. It's like white paint. It is a blank canvas. You could really do pretty much anything you want with it. And usually it's on sale at the store. Chicken breast is one of those proteins that I like to buy when they are on sale at the store because they need to get it off the shelves. And I just come home and I pack it in Ziploc bags and I freeze it individually portioned out to whatever the need I have or whatever I anticipate using that bag of chicken for. I know bag of chicken sounds weird, but you know what I'm trying to say. I showed you guys on my main channel, Coffee Break with Dani, the way that I package bulk protein or bulk meat. So when it's on sale at the store, I buy it, I package it, and then I use it later for other recipes that I have planned out in my brain. So here I am, just cutting off the excess chunks of fat. While it is good in flavor and sauce purposes, I just feel like it doesn't look as pretty, so I like to remove as much of it as possible. These are boneless, skinless breasts. Could you use thighs or legs or anything like that for this type of recipe? Absolutely, but you really have to play around with the time because breast cooks a lot quicker than any other part of your chicken. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna find the chubbiest side of the chicken, we're gonna lay it flat, and we are going to butterfly it. That means opening it up. Now this one you can see goes this way. So ideally you want to cut it this way and open it like a heart. I am left-handed, so it might look a little strange for you guys, but just try and follow along. So we're going to take our knife. Remember, we never do this. We grab the knife by the shank, we pinch hard, and we make sure to keep our fingers off the heel. The heel is one of the thickest parts of the knife, but it's also one of the sharpest, so you don't want to hurt yourself with the heel of the knife. So pinch it at the shank. You're gonna place your hand on top of the breast for stability. Never do this. Do you see how you instinctually reach for the top of the knife? And then you are gonna go in slowly. If you notice that you have to be doing this, rocking back and forth a lot, it means your knife isn't sharp enough. So be careful. Go in and you'll do swift, sleek movements. Sometimes you want to keep the butterfly shape together like this, and then you can take a meat mallet and pound it out flat, or you can also cut it and do it into 2 separate pieces. I find that one chicken breast now, with the way that they are at supermarkets, tends to be a little bit too much protein for one person. So let's do it again. Now the breast goes this way, so we're going to cut in the opposite direction. Place your hand on top, and you're going to slice across, and you'll open into the butterflied breast. Let's do 2 more. Now, commonly asked question is, why do you butterfly chicken breast? Most importantly, so that you have even cooking. If you noticed, one side is always higher than the other. It's always a lot thinner at the bottom. So you want to make sure that you have even thickness with the size of your breast, so you have even cooking time. If you notice that it's thinner on one side than the other, that's when you take a meat mallet. Can I help you, ma'am? No, ma'am. Thank you. You can take a meat mallet and like parchment paper or a Ziploc bag and pound it until it's even in thickness. All right, you guys, so what we're gonna do now is we are going to take all of these butterflied breasts and we are going to dredge them all at the same time. Some people don't like touching raw meat. I honestly have no qualms against it. I think it's a lot easier to do it because you get to know certain proteins, you get familiar with how they feel, how they're supposed to feel, how they're not supposed to feel, what they're supposed to look like or smell like. So the more contact that you can have with your food, the better. But if you still feel a little yucky, especially with raw chicken, I know that's a common yucky factor, you can use tongs or you can use a fork like you see me right now. The reason that I'm using a fork is because it minimizes the amount of times I have to wash my hands. And one, they get dried out. Two, I can touch other things without the risk of contamination. Chicken is one of those that you just never know and you don't want to risk it. There's a reason why you get chicken well done. Now the reason that we are dredging the chicken breast is for two reasons. One is you're going to create sort of a seal or a crust on the protein so it'll retain the juices. And then the other reason is that the flour is going to act like a thickener for the sauce. So the sauce won't be as thin as if you didn't have the flour. So now that we're done with chicken everything, we can remove this cutting board and use anything else for all the other remaining items. You guys are gonna see how quickly this recipe comes together. So what I'm doing now is I'm prepping the items that I'm gonna need. I basically just need, well, first of all, I need to be able to open this jar. Oh, thank God, there we go. I almost called Parker. These are capers. The best way I can describe a caper is a cross between a pickle and an olive. So this is something that comes in a really heavy brine. So you wanna make sure that you drain and rinse them. We're gonna need 2 tablespoons of these, so that's about half the jar. I wanna make sure that I rinse them really well. Okay, so we have our capers ready to go. We need some lemon juice, so we're gonna cut this in half and we're gonna get our juicer ready to go. And then we are going to need some butter, which I already have here, and some chicken broth, which I already have here. We are going to serve this with angel hair pasta, which I already have here. So everything's gonna come together in a matter of seconds. So if we wanted to remain authentic to this recipe, the fat that we would use to cook the chicken breast would be olive oil and butter. The reason we use 2 fats is because ideally you would use butter, but butter has a very low smoke point, which means it burns really quickly, and you wouldn't even be able to get a saute or a golden look without burning it completely. So when we add something like an olive oil, that helps sort of, it allows the butter to last a little bit longer without smoking on you. So we're going to take some olive oil and about 2 tablespoons of butter and melt that down. And that's what's gonna help us get a golden brown crust on the chicken breast. You can see how the butter is actually turning into like a golden color. That's the perfect time to add your chicken breast. And when you're adding something to a pan, you compensate on heat value. So right now, these chicken breasts have a little bit of a chill to them. So when I add something chilled to a pan, the temperature will drop. So you want to compensate for that temperature drop, which means turning up your heat. Here is our butterfly chicken breast, and then our 4th one. I'm turning up the heat so that I can get a nice golden color on the flour that's coating our chicken breast. Most of the time, whatever protein you're using can tell you a very clear story. You can see kind of little clues around the pan if you need to lower your flame, if you need to raise the flame, if it's ready to be turned. So right now you can see the butter is actually browning a little bit too quickly, so we want to turn down that heat. But we're also seeing that changing of color around the breast. I don't know if you can see the whitening that's coming up the sides of the breast, which is telling you that you're actually cooking your protein. So it might be a good time to flip it. So when you flip it, you have a really beautiful golden color on the opposite side of the breast. So you're gonna let your breast cook for about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. We're gonna remove them from the pan, finish the sauce, then add them back to the pan to finish cooking. So you don't have to worry about it being well done or anything right now. After about 3 minutes, we're going to remove the chicken breast, transfer it to a plate. Do not try and eat it now because it won't be ready. It's still raw in the middle. We're gonna transfer it to a plate. Make sure that there is a groove in the plate that can catch or trap all the juices that come out of the chicken. And then we're gonna make the sauce. For the sauce, really simple, it comes together super quick. We're going to take some chicken broth. Right now we are using a low sodium broth from just a regular grocery store. We're going to be careful because this could splatter on us. We're gonna pour about 1/3 of a cup in there. If you wanted to use white wine, now would be the time to do it. I don't include white wine in my piccata, but you can. And right now you would do it, you would use about 1/4 of a cup. Then we're gonna add some fresh lemon juice. And that's gonna be to taste. Some people like this tart, other people like just a hint of lemon juice. I tend to use, depending on the size of the lemon, about 1/2 a lemon or 2/3 of a lemon. The amount really varies. It's up to you guys. Some people don't like their food really tart. After you've added the broth, the lemon juice, you're going to drop in your capers. Make sure that you rinse them really well. You don't want to add any extra saltiness or brininess that you don't need to. And you're going to scrape all the bottom brown bits of the pan. So any little crusty bits that you see, you want to scrape. You don't want to roll boil or boil this too hard, because if you do that, you're going to evaporate too much of the liquid, and this is the sauce that we need to finish cooking our chicken and to also coat our pasta noodles. So we want to make sure that we keep this at like a medium low and just kind of let the flavors meld together without evaporating too much of the sauce. Remember, I told you guys, you season along the way, so we're gonna add additional cracked black pepper, the fresh kind, you guys, and some additional salt to our sauce. Be a little light on the salt because the capers are already pretty salty on their own. And then we are going to add our chicken back to this pan and let it finish cooking. I like to put it with the last side down. So usually the first side that you cook is the one that has the prettier golden color. I like to keep that facing up, especially if you're going to plate family style where you take this whole thing to your table. I just added the last little bit of juice that came out of that chicken breast. Put our chicken back in the pan, pretty side facing up, and we're gonna let this finish cooking over like a medium-low flame. A special touch that I like to do when I'm making this at home is I will put the rinds of the citrus back in the pan just to infuse more of the flavor, because the lemon actually has a lot of flavor in the actual skin or the rind of the citrus. So I like to add it back in, and I'll take it out before plating. So we're gonna put the chicken back in. It helps to speed up the process if you put a lid on it. So if you have a lid that matches your saute pan, use it. All right, you guys, there's really important numbers that you need to learn. Your phone number, your parents' home line, and the internal cooking temperature of various meats so that you don't get sick. For chicken, it's going to be 165. I like to flirt with danger sometimes and do around 160 because of carryover cooking. Carryover cooking is the cooking that happens once you turn off the flame. There's still heat trapped inside of there and it continues to cook. So I figure if I push it to 165, it's gonna get to about 170 and it can dry out chicken breast. So with chicken breast, you wanna be at about 165 when it's ready. So right now we're pushing 163. I would feel confident taking it out now. Another tip is if the juices run clear. So here's how we're gonna finish the sauce. We're gonna pull the chicken off the flame just for a minute, and we are going to add more, wait for it, I bet you can guess, butter. That's gonna be the base of this sauce. So we're gonna add more butter. I can actually pull these out now since we don't need them, and we're gonna make it look pretty. And you guys can see how slowly the butter melts in there, and it's going to create a really thick, shiny gravy. And that is your piccata sauce, you guys. It's super, super easy. Remember to taste along the way and to season along the way. So you want to keep doing you want to keep checking in. You want to make sure that it's still the flavor that you imagine for this dish. So for me, I feel like it needs a little bit more black pepper. The citrus and the salt seem to be a little overpowering right now. So we'll add a little more black pepper and then finish mixing our delicious sauce on a low flame so that the sauce doesn't dry out. And then, here's the best part. Listen, you guys, this chicken really likes to move around. It doesn't like to sit still. So we add it back into the pan, and that's just to give it a really nice glaze of this piccata sauce. If you were to serve tableside, you want to make sure you get some of those capers on top of that chicken. Add your juice back. But that's it. That completes the chicken part of this recipe. All we need to do now is plate it with some delicious angel hair or thin spaghetti pasta. All right, you guys, there we have the final product. So what we do is we take that little bit of angel hair pasta. Do you like it, Mern? So we take that a little bit of angel hair pasta and we just sort of, just a little bit dip it in the sauce, the piccata sauce that the chicken was sauteed in, and we plate it together. Now, this isn't a dish that is full of vegetables. This isn't a dish that has any sort of fresh vegetable, actually. It is a traditional pasta dish, so you would serve it alongside any other vegetable of your choice if you wanted a really balanced meal. But this is traditionally how it's served. You can actually see that beautiful glaze that the butter gives it, a really nice sheen on the chicken. So there you guys have chicken piccata, but this wouldn't be a cooking break with Dani unless there was a taste test. So y'all ready? All right, you guys, this concludes our cooking break with Dani featuring chicken piccata, but it wouldn't be a cooking break with Dani episode unless we ate together. Are you ready? Okay, if I were to describe this dish, it would be the perfect winter-inspired summer dish. So you have your noodles, your butter, and your protein, but they're married together with really light, fresh ingredients like capers and lemon. So you're going to have a very hearty, satisfying dish that's not going to weigh you down or make you feel heavy or yucky. It's a really great meal for a weekday because it's prepped really, really quickly. It's something that you can do in a pinch when you forget to defrost chicken if you have it butterflied in your freezer already. And it's a really great recipe to introduce something like capers to your small kids. Do you have to include the capers? No, you could just dip them in the sauce and they would become familiar with the flavor and kind of expand their palate. So if you guys decide to try this piccata recipe, remember, you don't have to do chicken. You could do a different kind of protein. You could even do a white flaky fish and it would be phenomenal. Let me know if you end up trying this recipe and what your thoughts are, or let me know if you guys have any cool, awesome alternatives to the ingredients that we used in this recipe. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's eat.